The gavel cracked once, its sound ringing in the still courtroom like thunder. Christine's fingers shook as she clutched the table edge, her gaze fixed on Kody, the man she loved, now her arch-nemesis. Robin sat in the second row behind him, her face drained, lips pursed as if keeping secrets too heavy to utter. The judge put on his glasses and stated, "This court is now ready to hear the case of Brown versus Brown." You could almost sense the air change. What started out as a family united in religion and love had now become a war of betrayal, custody, and secrets laid low. This wasn't merely a trial of children or money. This was a battle of dignity, liberty, and the right to finally be heard.
And just when everyone was convinced they'd seen all of the Brown family, another bombshell was about to blow all of their assumptions out of the water about sister wives. Now let's start telling the story of the custody trial. It's a chilly Flagstaff morning. The kind that freezes breath into fog and quiet is more oppressive than snow.
Outside the courthouse, photographers mass on the steps, their lenses snapping every twitch of tension on Christine Brown's face as she approaches the doors. She stands in a navy jacket, her hair styled back, her chin held high, but churning inside her gut. Today is not another page of heartache. It is the day that she goes to court against Kody for custody of their youngest child, truly. The whispers are behind her like specters, reporters quieting each other about the fall of the sister wives' family. She doesn't glance over. In here, the courtroom has the stale scent of old paper and coffee, the whir of fluorescent lights mingling with the shuffle of papers. On her right sits Kody, his hair back, his jaw set hard. Next to him, Robin gazes down at the table, not meeting Christine's eyes. Meri and Janelle slouch in the back row, quiet witnesses to a war that was once their common life. Christine takes a shaky breath as her attorney mouths, "Tell the truth, everything." She nods. On the other side of the aisle, Kody's lawyer rises, already shuffling through papers as though ready to take hers apart piece by piece. The judge arrives, and the room goes quiet. This court is now in session. He declares, his voice steady but authoritative. Christine's heart thunders so loudly she can hear it in her ears. The first witness to be called is Christine herself. She stands, hands shaking slightly as she's sworn in. Her voice trembles only briefly before steadying, years of pent-up emotion now struggling to be free. "Mrs. Brown," the lawyer continues, "can you tell me about what happened to cause you to become separated from Mr. Brown?" Christine swallows. "It wasn't an event," she says quietly. "It was years of control, neglect, and manipulation. He lost interest in Truly. He lost interest in being a father." Kody fidgets in his seat, shaking his head, muttering to himself. The attorney continues, "And what led you to think he's not suitable for custody?" Christine's eyes well up, because she's afraid of him now. She'd run to him before, and now she'll hide when he calls her. The courtroom stirs, even the judge glances up. Kody's lawyer protests, speculation. But Christine's lawyer provides proof. Phone records, lost visitations, emotional messages that reveal Kody's callousness. The tension builds. Kody rises suddenly, his tone cutting. "That's not true. I love my daughter." The judge holds up a hand. "Mr. Brown, you'll have your say." Christine's voice trembles, but she doesn't falter. "Then why didn't you demonstrate it, Kody?" The atmosphere is charged. You can almost see the years of anger flooding into this one tenuous space. The interrogation goes on. Christine remembers nights of isolation, hours when she pleaded for assistance and received none. Her speech is more forceful as she describes leaving Flagstaff, starting anew with Truly, educating her daughter that love never needs to resemble fear. By the other side of the room, Robin's eyes brim with tears, yet Kody remains steadfast, jaw clenched with each statement. When it's his time to testify, his tone shifts everything. He smiles, forced, political, all but performative. "I was a good husband," he starts. "But Christine wanted freedom more than family. She's turning my daughter against me." The words drop like bricks, but Christine doesn't blink. The lawyer questions him. "Mr. Brown, did you attend Truly's last birthday?" He pauses. "I was unavailable." "Unavailable how?" "It was complicated. Christine whispers to her attorney, "He was at Robin's." The attorney asks, "Were you with another wife that day?" The courtroom falls silent. Kody scowls at her. "That's irrelevant." But the judge leans in. "Answer the question." He takes a deep breath. "Yes." Gasps run through the courtroom. The camera bursts outside the window, reminding them that this trial is not just legal, it's public. Those who watch them raise a family now watch their family disintegrate. Robin drops her head into her hands, saying something only she can hear. Christine looks ahead, breathing sedately now, nearly steady, as if she's been waiting years to come to this moment of truth. As testimony goes on, Meri quietly exits the courtroom. Janelle does a few moments later. Outside, Meri whispers, "He's losing everything." Janelle says, "He already did. He just doesn't know it yet." Inside, the cross-examination becomes savage. Kody's attorney shows old footage from their reality show. Moments of Kody smiling with his wives, hugging Truly, laughing at family meals, portraying him as a doting father. Christine closes her eyes. Those moments were real once, but they're ghosts now. This is manipulation, her lawyer objects. We're talking about who Kody Brown is now, not 10 years ago. The judge nods. Sustained. The lights flicker slightly, or maybe it's just the pressure of the room making everything feel unstable. Christine looks toward Robin for the first time. Their eyes meet. For a second, there's no anger, just sadness. The shared grief of women who loved the same man and lost themselves in the process. Robin mouths, "I'm sorry." The judge calls for a brief recess. Outside the courtroom, Christine steps into the hallway, leaning against the wall, exhaling the years of tension that finally have air to breathe. Her attorney comes up to her side, whispering, "You're doing fine. Just stay steady." She nods but mouths back, "He's going to come at me harder next." The attorney exhales, "That's what we're prepared for." Down the corridor, cameras flash once more. A reporter yells, "Christine, do you think you'll win?" She doesn't reply, but her eyes express it all. This isn't about winning, it's about surviving. The recess comes to a close. They go back to court, but the tension is different. Kody's defense becomes sharper, more desperate. He mentions Christine's new life, new house, new independence, as if freedom itself disqualifies her. "She's alienating my daughter," he says, his voice cracking with contained rage. "She's poisoning her mind against me." Christine responds softly, "I don't have to poison her mind, Kody." Even the stenographer hesitates for a moment. The judge reclines, regarding them both. "This isn't about parenting," he says quietly. "It's about the kind of love a child learns to accept." Kody's attorney objects again, but the judge dismisses him. Christine's lawyer brings in the final piece of evidence for the day, a recording. Christine had saved a voicemail from months ago. Kody yelling, calling her selfish, saying, "You'll regret taking her from me." The courtroom goes still as the recording plays. Kody's face drains of color. Robin looks away, her hands trembling. The judge writes something down slowly, deliberately. The gavel hits once. "Court will resume tomorrow." The day ends, but nobody departs. Christine gets up, gathers papers, and glides past Kody without looking his way. For the first time ever, he appears indecisive, diminished, quieter. She leaves outside into the chill air, and the mob bursts with questions, flashing lights like a lightning storm. She pauses for an instant, shuts her eyes, and inhales. She's not walking away from court. She's leaving the shadow of silence for years behind her. She comes at the camera, produces a small, weary smile, and strides into the cold Flagstaff air. Behind her, the courthouse doors are closing, and in the empty hallway through the glass, Kody stands by himself, his eyes on the floor, as if he is only now seeing that love based on control can't stand the light of truth.
And tomorrow, when court continues, the secrets he's kept hidden won't merely come out. They'll annihilate everything he believes he can still control. The following morning breaks gray and agitated, the sort of morning that brings ill tidings before the world itself is awake.
Frost covers the courthouse stairs when Christine comes in early, bundled in her coat, with a solitary cup of coffee she hardly takes. Her attorney walks alongside her, sharing whispers of news, but her thoughts linger on the voicemail she heard yesterday, Kody's voice still ringing in her head like a specter that won't let up. Within the courtroom, it is more subdued than it has been, as if everyone senses today will be something volatile. Kody shows up minutes behind, face pinched tight, with Robin beside him, her eyes bloodshot from a sleepless night. Janelle and Meri reoccupy the back row, sitting separately now, like two shards of a family that broke apart too long ago to be reunited. The judge enters, nods once, and the air is charged with tension. Now we shall go on with the second day of testimony, he states, looking in the direction of the defense. Christine remains motionless, hands clasped, heartbeat even but eyes wide awake. Kody's attorney stands up first, voice silky but cutting. Your Honor, we plan to present new evidence today, evidence that calls Mrs. Brown's credibility into question. Christine's gut lurches. Her attorney leans in and whispers, "Remain calm, they're just bluffing." But when Kody's lawyer pushes a folder onto the judge's bench, the room constricts. Printed messages, texts, screenshots, and photos Christine has never laid eyes on before are inside. These are private communications. Her attorney protests, but the judge motions for quiet. Let's hear it. The attorney coughs. These are communications between Mrs. Brown and some unknown man, dated only weeks prior to when she sued for separation. The crowd murmurs. Christine's face reddens, her jaw clenching. That is not what it appears, she breathes. They are manipulating it. Kody slouches back, smirking, a fleeting glint of victory in his eye. Christine's attorney moves quickly onto the floor. These are doctored screenshots, Your Honor. There's no verification, no metadata, nothing linking these to my client's number. The judge nods slowly. We'll examine authenticity later. Continue. But Christine feels the eyes on her, the cameras, the strangers, even Meri's cold stare. Kody's attorney continues, spinning a story of betrayal and hypocrisy, painting Christine as a woman who left her husband not for freedom, but for another man. Her belly tightens, anger and terror battling within. When it's finally her chance to answer, she rises slowly, taking deep breaths. I didn't cheat, she says sharply, her voice keen cutting through the silence. I was on the phone with a friend, someone who heard me when no one else did. Her lawyer continues, there's no evidence of adultery. This is character assassination. The judge smiles, but the damage is already done. Suspicion hovers in the air like smoke after flames. The judge glances Robin's way, his hand accidentally brushing her hand beneath the table. She doesn't meet his eyes. Instead, her gaze remains glued on Christine, and there's something else there now, guilt, perhaps even pity as the day goes on. Witnesses testify. There's Janelle, shaking but firm of voice. Christine kept that family alive, she says. We all knew Kody had favorites, and when Christine was no longer one of them, he got cold. The defense protests, citing bias, but the judge permits her to go on. He didn't want love, Janelle whispers. He wanted control. Kody's eyes flash with rage. You're a liar, Janelle. He blurts. The judge hisses at him to keep quiet. Janelle presses on. He used religion as a tool. We believed it was love, but it was obedience. The courtroom is quiet aside from the scribbled notes and hum of the ceiling vent. Kody's mask is starting to break. The peaceful, confident patriarch now fussing with annoyance, his temper slipping inch by inch. Then, suddenly, Robin rises. Your Honor, she says, her voice shaking. I need to say something. Everyone is looking at her. Even Kody appears stunned. The judge pauses, then nods. You may proceed. Robin moves forward, holding a creased paper in her hand. Her voice is quiet at first, but it rings out across the room. I can't sit here and watch this anymore. There's something you all need to know. Christine closes in, her eyes narrowing. Kody grumbles under his breath. Robin don't. She gazes at him, her eyes brimming with tears. You promised. You said we'd tell the truth. She hands the judge the paper. It's a printed email exchange. letters between Kody and a private investigator he hired months prior to the split. The emails reveal Kody had surveillance put on Christine, her phone tracked, her activities, even having someone trail her to Utah. The courtroom gasps and whispers. Christine's jaw drops, her hand flying to her chest. Cody's face turns white. That's not. He starts to say, but the judge bangs the gavel. Order. Robin's voice cracks. He told me it was for the protection of the family, but it was never that. He didn't trust her. He didn't trust us. Sobs fall from her face as she goes on. He told her if she ever left him, he'd take everything away from her, even her daughter. Christine's attorney rises, enraged. That is coercion, Your Honor. We demand an immediate examination of this evidence. Kody attempts to break in, that's out of context. But his voice trembles, the arrogance lost. Christine simply gazes at him, shock, rage, and sympathy all hitting her at once. The judge declares a brief recess. Kody is the first out, slamming the door. Reporters surround him down the corridor, firing off questions he disregards. Inside, Christine remains in her seat, blankly staring into space. Her attorney leans in, whispering, that was it. You've got this now. But she doesn't smile. He had me followed, she whispers, like I was a criminal. In the hallway outside the courtroom, Robin sits on a bench, her eyes still wet with tears. Christine comes over to her, quietly. For a moment, neither woman says anything. Then Christine whispers softly, "Why'd you tell the truth?" Robin takes a shaky breath. Because I couldn't sleep anymore. And because my children asked me if I was a good person. Christine nods, the tension between them dissipating into a common weariness. Thanks, she whispers and exits. Inside, the hearing continues. Kody returns, face flushed, anger seething just beneath the surface. His lawyer looks beaten, shuffling through notes with shaking hands. The judge leans forward, voice unyielding. Mr. Brown, do you deny ordering this surveillance? Kody takes too long. I did it for safety, he answers at last, his voice defensive. She was unpredictable. The judge shakes his head. You intruded upon her privacy and maybe the law. This will be heavily considered in my verdict. Cody's white knuckles clench the table. Christine sits silently observing, the terror that had dominated her replaced by something greater, peace. Not joy, not victory, just peace. As the day wears on into afternoon, closing arguments are made by both sides. Christine's attorney takes the floor first, voice unflinching, eyes locked. This isn't about who is the better parent. It's about who a child learns love, safety, and respect from. Mrs. Brown left not for selfish reasons, but for survival. Cody's lawyer tries weakly to spin loyalty and religious faith, but the words ring false now. The judge suspends court until the morning, but no one leaves immediately. Everyone feels something historic has been altered. Outside, storm clouds gather over the mountains, the wind screaming through the parking lot. Christine steps out into the cold, phone ringing with message of encouragement she doesn't yet open. She looks back at the courthouse, its lights blazing in the gray sky, and whispers to herself, it's almost over. Inside, Kody sits alone at the defendant's table, looking at the email printouts Robin provided. His lawyers speak something about damage control, but Kody doesn't respond. He simply whispers, she turned them all against me. But in his heart, he knows it wasn't them, it was him. He stands, moves toward the door, and catches a glimpse of himself in the glass. The face of a man who constructed a kingdom of domination and named it family. For an instant, something passes through his eyes, regret, perhaps. It's gone as fast as it appeared. As Christine pulls away from the last rays of sunlight, it snows again, thick and persistent, blanketing the town in a cold, white hush. She gazes out at the horizon, her mind filled with what sort of world she hopes her daughter will grow up in. Tomorrow will deliver the ultimate judgment, but tonight, for the first time, she breathes without dread. But part of her does wonder, what if Kody does have one last trick up his sleeve? Because the glance he shot her as she exited the courtroom wasn't defeat, it was a vow. And vows from Kody Brown never die quietly. The third day of trial opens in an unquiet stillness. the sort that precedes glass breaking. The parking lot behind the courthouse is full, reporters behind barracks, their breath misty in the cold air as they murmur what will happen today. The air inside is heavy with tension. Christine enters quietly, dressed in a light gray sweater and no makeup, her face weary but determined. Kody is already seated, pacing back and forth beside his attorney, spouting venom under his breath. Robin sits separately from him today, her chair drawn slightly back, her eyes bloodshot from weeping. Meri and Janelle sit where they always sit in the back row, but neither of them says a word. Everyone can feel that today will turn the story around. When Christine sits down, the judge clears his throat. "Before we go any further, I have to discuss yesterday's testimony," he announces, his voice heavy with weariness. "This court does not take invasion of privacy lightly, but we do need to consider the new development that has been brought to my attention this morning." The courtroom freezes. Christine's attorney furrows his brow. "New development, Your Honor." The judge gestures to a bailiff, who hands him a sealed envelope. An anonymous source submitted an affidavit and supporting documents regarding the surveillance operation and an alleged financial cover-up connected to Mr. Brown's business. Kody's lawyer shoots to his feet. "Objection. This is inadmissible." But the judge raises his hand. "We'll determine that soon enough." Christine's heartbeat quickens. "A financial cover-up?"
She glances at her lawyer, who whispers, "This could be big." Stay composed. The documents are handed over. Christine is able to read the bolded title, Brown Family Holdings, Internal Account Transfers.
The documents lay out transactions from Kody's business, money transferred secretly from shared accounts into personal ones in Robin's name, months prior to the time Christine sought separation. Robin's mouth covers her face in shock. "I didn't know," she murmurs. But Kody's jaw clenches, his face pale. "That's a misunderstanding," he assures, voice cracking slightly. The judge remains unconvinced. "We'll let the records speak for themselves." Christine's lawyer takes over, presenting evidence line by line, showing how funds meant for family expenses were redirected into shell accounts, accounts that financed new property under Robin's trust. The room buzzes with whispers. Christine listens in silence, every revelation both a wound and a validation. For years, she'd been invisible, inaudible. Now the truth was finally fighting back on her behalf. Kody attempts to interrupt, but his attorney places a hand on his arm. "Let me handle this," he whispers. But Kody's rage gets the better of him. "You think I took from them? I started that family. I provided for all of them." His words ring out through the courtroom, plaintive and raw. The judge slams the gavel. "Sit down, Mr. Brown." The ensuing silence is crushing. Robin gets up and faces him, whispering, "Is it true?" He doesn't respond. His gaze flashes to Christine, seething with anger. "You wanted to ruin me," he mutters under his breath, loudly enough for her to hear. Christine speaks quietly. "You did that yourself." The prosecution introduces another witness, an accountant who used to work for Kody's business. He testifies that he was instructed to reclassify some funds as maintenance payments to prevent tax investigation. The judge pushes his chair back, scowling. "That's fraud, Mr. Brown." Kody protests. "It was a bookkeeping error." But the witness shakes his head. "No, sir. It was deliberate." The courtroom seems smaller, each breath more labored. Christine observes, conflicted between pleasure and sorrow. Revenge was never in the plan. She merely desired freedom, but now the world could witness the price of her liberation. At the call of the lunch recess, she moves outside. The air is filled with the smell of snow and fumes, the throng outside abuzz with excitement. Reporters yell questions. "Christine, did you know about the money?" "Christine, do you think Kody will be charged?" She won't respond. She's not triumphing. She's mourning what was supposed to be a family and turned into a headline. Inside, the mood changes. Kody's attorney attempts to counter, saying that Christine also profited financially from the joint accounts. "She lived the lifestyle," he says. "She never complained when the money was coming and going." Christine's attorney jumps up right away. Objection, irrelevant, and misleading. The judge does concur. But the harm is insidious. Cody's attorney is attempting to sow seeds of doubt, reversing the story from Cody's culpability to Christine's complicity. Christine takes a deep breath, reminding herself to remain calm. Her attorney mutters, "They're desperate. Don't respond." But Cody's not finished. He insists on testifying again over the objection of his lawyer. The judge permits it. When he gets on the stand, he stares at Christine. "You speak of pain," he remarks bitterly. "You have no idea what it's like to have your family torn apart on TV. You made me out to be a monster." His voice shakes with rage and grief. "I was trying to hold us together. You wanted out. You wanted to be the hero." Christine's eyes well, but she does not avert her gaze. "I did not want to be the hero, Kody. I just did not want to vanish." The room is silent. Even the judge appears moved. Cody's attorney attempts to steer back on track, but Kody continues speaking, years of bitterness pouring out unchecked. "You all abandoned me," he laments, waving his arms frantically toward the back row where Meri and Janelle are seated. "You ganged up on me. You made me the bad guy because I was trying to live my faith." His voice rings out, shaking with something between pride and breakdown. Janelle murmurs, "We didn't abandon your faith, Kody. We abandon your control." His expression hardens, eyes brimming. For a brief moment, he becomes less of a husband and more of a man lost amidst the ashes of his own destruction. The judge eventually demands they take a break. Kody leans back, drained. Robin reaches forward, softly saying, "You have to stop." He doesn't answer. He merely stares down at the ground, jaw clenching, inner turmoil brewing in his silence. Outside, there's thunder rumbling softly in the distance, the first indication of the snowstorm predicted for later tonight. As the afternoon wears on, Christine's attorney presents one last bit of evidence, a tape from a family session 2 years earlier. The speakers boom with Cody's voice. "If you ever walk away from me, you'll regret it. You won't survive without me." The audio is shaky, recorded on a phone, but clear enough to silence the room. Christine's face tightens, the memory flooding back. That night, the fear, the cold air between them. Robin covers her face. Meri looks away. The judge exhales slowly, visibly shaken. "That's enough for today," he says quietly. "Court will reconvene tomorrow morning for closing arguments." The gavel falls, but nobody gets up. Christine is sitting rigid, shaking hands, glassy eyes. Kody gets up slowly, each step weighed down. They lock eyes, not as wife and husband, not as adversaries, but as two people who once thought that love could mend all. For the very first time, Kody seems shattered. Not furious, not indignant, just empty. Christine gets up and moves towards the door, each step firm. She doesn't turn around. Outside, snow has started falling in dense, heavy flakes, covering the world in white. Journalists run toward her, but she continues walking. The lights from the courthouse shine faintly behind her, sending long shadows onto the ground that's frozen hard. She mutters to herself, almost done. But deep inside, she knows otherwise, because just as she is about to reach her car, her lawyer's phone rings. He glances at the screen, face setting. "Christine," he whispers, "there's been a development." She turns. "What sort?" He pauses and then looks at her. "Cody's people just submitted a motion. They're calling for a psychological evaluation on you, and truly." The room seems to spin. Christine clutches at the car door, holding on. "He's not finished," she breathes. Her attorney nods firmly. "He's trying to prove you're unstable, to regain leverage." Christine stares at the courthouse, fury rising through the exhaustion. "He'll do anything to win." The lawyer sighs. "Then we'll do everything to protect you." She drives away, the windshield wipers struggling against the snow, her reflection faint in the glass, tired, determined, unbreakable. Behind her, the courthouse shines dimly in the night, and within its walls somewhere, Kody peers out through the glass, his breath misting it. He mutters to himself, "If I can't have my family, no one will." The wind screams with increased fury, swirling ash like snow, and the night engulfs Flagstaff. Tomorrow will determine everything, but tonight, everyone is tormented by what they have become. The fourth day of the trial dawns with rain and sleet pattering against the courthouse windows like a bad omen. The crowd is bigger than ever, clustered umbrellas a cacophony of noise as cameras flash and voices run together. Christine steps through the den with her lawyer, her face pale but unruffled, her breath misting the chill air. She is cradling Truly's bracelet in her hand, a little solace before what she understands will be the toughest day so far. The courtroom inside is chillier, the air thick with expectation. Kody sits tense, eyes dark-rimmed from a sleepless night. Robin is nowhere to be found, and that silence rings out. The judge comes in, his voice stern as he declares, "Before we proceed with the closing arguments, we have to deal with the late last night defense motion filed." Christine's attorney stands up right away. "Your Honor, this psychological evaluation motion is retaliatory and irrelevant to custody issues." Kody's lawyer responds, "Mrs. Brown's recent emotional instability calls into question her suitability as a guardian. We have evidence indicating instability." The judge frowns. "Evidence." The lawyer holds up a pile of papers and nods. "We have footage of Mrs. Brown under emotional distress, displaying erratic behavior." Christine's heart sinks. She recognizes what they're referring to. Intimate moments, captured years prior when the family had their own show and later edited for dramatic effect but now turned into ammunition. Her lawyer protests, "Those were filmed for television, out of context, manipulated for entertainment." The judge nods slowly. "Still, they'll be reviewed." Christine takes a deep breath, her chest tight. The lights hum overhead as her lawyer whispers, "Don't let them shake you. We'll counter this." But Kody's eyes are locked on her, unflinching. The first clip plays on the screen, an aged bit of their show, of Christine sobbing by herself after an argument with Kody. Her voice echoes through the courtroom, raw and shaking. "I can't do this anymore. I feel invisible." The camera cuts to Kody unruffled. Christine's emotional. She overreacts. The contrast is cruel. The crowd whispers softly. The judge observes in silence. Christine is humiliated, her dignity stripped away, her personal pain made public evidence in the courtroom. Her attorney stands and speaks to the judge firmly. "This video is stage drama, not what happened. We have affidavits from producers verifying these scenes were staged and cut." The judge nods. "Then enter those affidavits as evidence." Kody's attorney attempts to push on, but the momentum is lost. Christine dabs a tear, her voice trembling as she speaks in a whisper. "He made my life a tale, and now he's attempting to use it to kill me." Her attorney whispers back to her, "He's out of tricks." Throughout the morning, tension builds. Then the doors to the courtroom swing open. Robin enters, dripping from the rain, clutching a folder to her chest. The courtroom rustles. Kody tenses. The judge's face is surprised-looking. "Mrs. Brown, I didn't know you were coming in today." Robin breathes slowly. "I have something the court must see." She steps forward and hands the folder to the bailiff, who brings it to the judge. There are letters inside, dozens of them, handwritten by Kody to each of his wives throughout the years. Robin's voice trembles as she explains, "He wrote these whenever one of us threatened to leave. He made promises about money, about love, about keeping our children safe. But he never meant them." The judge flips through the letters, his brow furrowing. One stands out, dated only 6 months ago, addressed to Robin. He reads aloud, "If Christine leaves, we'll say she's unstable. You and me will defend the family's reputation." The courtroom gasps in shock. Christine closes her eyes, hands folded tightly in front of her. Robin glances down, tears running down her face. "I kept them because I was afraid," she whispers. "But I couldn't keep quiet anymore." Kody bangs his fist on the table. "You're lying." The judge sternly says, "Sit down, Mr. Brown." But Kody stands, shouting, "She's turning on me because she's weak." His voice echoes, breaking apart as security moves closer. The judge warns, "Another outburst and you'll be removed from this courtroom." Kody glares at Robin, his voice low and venomous. You'll regret this. Robin doesn't respond. She just stares at him with a look that's not fear anymore. It's pity. Christine stands aghast as Robin, the wife who had defended him relentlessly in the past, now stands by truth. The judge heaves a deep breath. This evidence alters the tone of this case. We will recess for 30 minutes so that I can peruse these letters. The gavel rings. The courtroom disperses into a tempest of whispers. Outside, Christine confronts Robin in the hallway. "Why now?" she whispers. Robin blots her eyes. "Because I finally witnessed who he truly is when he threatened you last night." Christine's brow scrunches up. "He called you." Robin nods. "He told me if I testified against him, he'd take the kids and vanish." Christine's heart seizes. "He said that." Robin nods again. "I taped it." She holds her phone up. Christine gasps. "That could end this." Robin whispers, "I know." They sit side by side on the bench in silence. Two women, once rivals over the same man, now bound together by what they endured. When court reconvenes, the judge appears somber. Having viewed the evidence presented by Mrs. Robin Brown, in the form of written letters and accompanying audio file, this court finds grave concern for Mr. Brown's conduct and credibility. Kody's attorney protests wildly, but the judge cuts him off. "These recordings and letters shall be entered into record. They indicate a pattern of coercion and manipulation becoming of a custodial parent." Kody's face crumples, disbelief streaming across his features. "You're all turning on me," he murmurs. "All I did was for this family." The judge responds, "Control is not love, Mr. Brown." The words linger in the air. Kody leans back in his chair, beaten but fuming. Christine observes him, sorrow and relief warring with her. It's over, nearly. Closing arguments start. Christine's attorney stands first. His voice is even, measured, abounding with silent conviction. For years, Mrs. Brown remained silent under the delusion of unity. But unity founded on fear is not family. It is captivity. Today, she stands not as a wife offended, but as a mother fighting for her child's peace. Each sentence strikes like a heartbeat. The audience remains motionless and listening. Then Kody's attorney stands, voice shaking, argument disintegrating. "Mr. Brown is a religious man, misunderstood, demonized in the court of public opinion." The judge cuts in. "Faith doesn't excuse cruelty." The lawyer stumbles, recognizing that the tone has been lost beyond redemption. Christine closes her eyes as her lawyer finishes. "Truly deserves a life free from control, free from fear."
That's what her mother is asking for. Nothing more.
The courtroom is holy in that moment, a sanctuary where truth, after years of bending, at last carries force. Unwrap. The judge requests a temporary adjournment before the verdict, but the room already knows how it's going to turn out. Unwrap. Kody remains still, eyes empty, muttering something under his breath that everyone can't hear. Unwrap. Robin slips out quietly, her face wet with tears. Unwrap. Christine remains in her seat, her face wet with tears. Unwrap. Christine remains in her seat, her face wet with tears. Unwrap. Christine remains in her seat, her face wet and remains in her seat, her face wet with teen remains in her seat, her face wet with tears. Unwrap. Christine remains in her seat, her face wet with tears. Unwrap. The cameras outside pick it all up. The first glimmers of light filtering through the storm, the crowd getting closer, starving for answers. Undefined. When the judge does return, his expression grave, everyone stands. Upper, having considered all testimony, evidence, and documentation, he starts out, "This court finds in favor of Mrs. Christine Brown. Full custody of Truly Brown will remain with her, and visitation rights for Mr. Brown will be determined upon completion of a psychological evaluation." Christine exhales, tears welling as the gavel falls. Undefined. The courtroom bursts into murmurs. Undefined. Kody doesn't move. Undefined. He just stares at the table, lost in silence. Undefined. Christine's lawyer whispers, "It's done." She nods, barely breathing. Undefined. Kody slowly stands, his face unreadable. Undefined. "You think you've won." "Undefined," he says softly. "You just destroyed the family forever." Christine regards him, eyes fixed. Undefined. There wasn't a family left to destroy. She picks up her belongings and moves toward the door. Undefined. Defined. Reporters converge, microphones flashing, voices calling out her name. Undefined. But she keeps her eyes forward. Undefined. Outdoors. The rain has reverted to snow again, gentle and unyielding. Undefined. She glances upward at the sky, softly saying, "It's over." But deep within, she knows it isn't. For as she gets into her car, her phone buzzes, a message from an unknown number. "You may have won today, but you don't know what I still have." She trembles as she reads it. Undefined. The area code is one she recognizes. Unlock its Cody's. Symbolically, perhaps, for the windows of the courthouse shine in the gray of the evening, and she feels a shiver run through her. Undefined. Whatever he has in mind, whatever he has in mind, it's not complete. Unlock not yet. The evening following the verdict, the snow outside Christine's home shines in the faint porch light, heavy and quiet. The interior is quiet, that sort of stillness that follows only turmoil. Christine sits beside the fireplace with truly resting upstairs, her hands holding a mug of tea that has not been sipped. Her attorney had phoned hours earlier, advising her to be careful for a few days. Cody's text message had been reported, but there was not enough to obtain a restraining order. Christine can't get out of the sense of eyes on her when in fact she is alone. She keeps looking at the window, at the vague reflection of her own troubled face. Her phone rings again, another unlisted number. "I told you it wasn't over." Her stomach lurches. She calls Robin, who picks up on the second ring, her voice trembling. "Christine, I got the same message." The atmosphere becomes heavy with fear. Robin whispers, "He's gone." "I checked his apartment, everything's packed." "The car's gone." Christine gets up, her heart pounding. "Gone where?" Robin hesitates. "I think he went to Flagstaff." Christine freezes. "That's where the family used to own property." Robin speaks in a shaky voice. "He once told me, if it all broke down, that's where he'd head." He referred to it as his safe ground. Christine is pacing the living room. "We must call the police." Robin lets out a sigh. "I already did. They said unless he's made a threat, there's not much they can do." Christine speaks softly. "He doesn't have to make one. I know how he thinks." Outside, a branch cracks under the weight of snow, making her jump. She locks the door, heart pounding, whispering to herself, "You're safe. You're safe." But deep down, she knows she's lying. Meanwhile, Kody drives through the snowstorm, headlights cutting through the whiteout. His face is gaunt, eyes bloodshot, muttering to himself, "They turned on me. They lied." The radio is filled with news reports on the verdict, Christine's name, the phrase, "custody granted," the public's approval. Kody throws the dial off, his fists clenched around the wheel so hard his knuckles turn white. "She took everything. I gave them everything." His phone beeps with a missed call. It's from an unknown number as well, but he ignores it. Instead, he pulls off the road near the old property in Flagstaff. The land is dark, covered in untouched snow, the unfinished house just a frame against the gray sky. He steps out, breathing the freezing air, whispering, "They think I'm finished? They forgot who started all this." Back in town, Christine can't sleep. Every sound in the house makes her flinch. She finally opens her laptop, typing in Cody's name, dozens of articles, Twitter posts, interviews. Public opinion has turned full circle. Christine Brown wins custody. Kody Brown accused of manipulation. Sister wives in court meltdown. She scrolls endlessly, her face bathed by the screen. For years, she'd pleaded to be noticed. Now she's everywhere, but it's empty. About 2 a.m., headlights flash across her window. She freezes. The vehicle halts outside. Her heart halts with it. She leans against the curtain, a black SUV parked in the snow, its engine humming. And then, gradually, the engine dies. Christine's hands shake as she takes out her phone. But before she can call, a knock resounds through the house, slow, measured. She gasps, backing away. Another knock. Christine. The voice is soft but unmistakable. It's Kody. Her phone falls from her fingers. Open the door. We have to talk. Christine retreats, softly whispering, "No, no, no." He slams again. "You think you can steal my family from me and hide?" She picks up Truly's bracelet from the coffee table and holds it like a talisman. The slamming ceases. Quiet. Then, the creak of footsteps stomping through the snow, walking towards the rear of the house. Christine calls 911, barely above a whisper. "He's here. My ex-husband. He's outside." The dispatcher remains level-headed. "Ma'am, get inside. Officers are on their way." Christine ducks behind the counter, muttering prayers softly under her breath. Minutes seem like an eternity. At last, blue lights flicker across the window. A booming voice. "Orders, sir. Get away from the house." Christine looks. Kody stands by the back porch, arms raised, yelling something incoherent. Officers circle him, their flashlights slicing through the snow. She hears him screaming, "She destroyed my life. She turned them against me." The officers bring him down, handcuffs clinking. Christine falls to the floor behind the counter, weeping silently. The next morning, news travels quickly. Kody Brown held after late-night standoff. Reporters descend on Christine's house once again, but she doesn't talk. She simply sits with Robin on the couch, both of them silent. Robin speaks in a whisper. "He wasn't supposed to be this." Christine slowly nods. "He always was. We just didn't want to see it." Several days later, the hearing for Kody's bail starts. The courtroom is small, less crowded, colder. Kody's face is weary, beard unkempt, his eyes wild but empty. Christine doesn't go, but Robin does. She's the judge deny bail due to risk of contact with the victim. Kody bangs his hands on the table. "You can't hold me in. I'm their dad." The judge responds, "You're a threat to your former wife and yourself, Mr. Brown." Reporters cluster around Robin outside. "Do you feel guilty for what occurred?" Someone asks. Robin nods. "I'm sad. For all of us. For what we became." Christine gets another envelope that evening. This one delivered personally, no return address. It contains a letter penned in Kody's hand. It says, "You can have the child, the house, the cameras, the world's pity, but you'll never erase me. I constructed this tale, and I'll finish it my way." Christine burns the letter in her fireplace, observing the ashes curl and turn black. However, she can't escape the words. "I'll finish it my way." She calls her attorney. "Can we get complete protection? For me and Truly." The attorney consents, but Christine knows forms won't prevent what's approaching. The following week, detectives discover evidence Kody had cleared out many storage lockers containing old family videotapes, correspondence, and a secret diary. It is the journal in which one phrase catches their eye. "If they won't remember me the way I want, I'll make sure they remember me anyway." The detectives are serious now. They reach out to Christine, instructing her to remain at a secure location. She goes with Truly to a friend's cabin on the outskirts of St. George. It's peaceful there, mountains and woods rather than cameras and courtrooms. She plays in the snow with Truly, her laughter ringing out among the pine trees, and for an instant it's okay. But at night, the fear creeps back, not because of where Kody is, but because she knows him too well. He doesn't release. He never did. One morning, Christine wakes to the sound of her phone ringing incessantly. Dozens of calls she's missed. She answers one, it's Robin, sobbing. "Christine, watch the news." Christine blindly searches for the remote. The screen lights up to a breaking news headline. "Kody Brown hospitalized after prison fight, condition critical." Christine sits in stunned silence. Robin's voice is shaking. "They told him. He assaulted another prisoner who said your name." Christine covers her mouth, tears welling up in her eyes. She says nothing. She has no idea what she should feel. Relief? Guilt? Possibly both. The voice of the anchor goes on. "Law enforcement says Brown was severely injured and is currently being monitored." The news spreads everywhere once more, but this time it's different, quieter, sadder. Christine gapes at the screen, muttering, You couldn't quit fighting, could you? She switches it off, gazing into the silent room. Later that night, she receives another call, this one from an unrecognized number. Reluctant, she picks up. A nurse's voice whispers, "Mrs. Brown, this is from the Flagstaff Correctional Facility. Mr. Brown asked a message be delivered to you." Christine's throat constricts. What did he say? The nurse pauses. He said, "Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I know now." Christine shuts her eyes, tears falling silently. She whispers, "It's too late." But something within her shifts, but release. The next morning, she takes Truly for a walk by the frozen lake. The sun bounces off the ice, blinding and lovely. Truly looks up. "Mom, are we safe now?" Christine drops to her knees, embracing her daughter. "Yes, baby. We're okay." But deep within herself, she knows safety is not something you possess. Safety is something you construct day by day, out of honesty. That evening, Christine sits beside the window, journaling for the first time in 3 years. She writes, "This isn't the end of a marriage. It's the start of a life. And perhaps, just perhaps, that's what love was meant to be, freedom." But as she shuts the journal, her phone buzzes again, a text message from an unknown sender, a link to a video. The caption, "The truth about the sister wives trial, exclusive footage never seen before." Christine hesitates, pounding heart. She hits play. The video starts with grainy footage, Kody in the courtroom, days before the verdict, looking into the camera and saying, "If they destroy me, I'll make sure the world sees what really happened." The video cuts off suddenly, static filling the screen. Christine's breath catches. Someone had access to footage that shouldn't exist. She looks out the window, the snow falling thicker now. Somewhere, somehow, Cody's tale wasn't finished. Not yet. Snow covers the world outside Christine's cabin as morning arrives, a cold stillness, heavy air, as if the world is holding its breath. Christine sits at the side of her bed, staring at her phone screen where the enigmatic video froze on Cody's face, tormented, chilled, nearly prophetic. The hum of static appears to reverberate in her head. She plays it, hoping to pick up a clue, a background noise, something that might tell her who sent it. Nothing. Just Cody's voice telling her, "If they kill me, I'll get the world to see what really went down." Then the screen flickers out again. She gasps and calls Robin. Robin picks up, but her voice is weak. "Christine, I received it too." Christine's face goes pale. The same link. Yes, and it's spreading. It's on social media now. People are sharing it. Christine rushes to open her browser, hundreds of posts already titled, "Leaked Sister Wives Courtroom Tape." Every thumbnail is the same shot, Kody looking directly into the camera. Who had access to this footage? She whispers. Robin replies, "Only the network and the court." Christine closes her eyes. Unless someone made copies before the shutdown. Her lawyer's number flashes next, and she picks up immediately. "Christine, don't panic," he says, his voice brisk. "We're working to have the video taken down, but it's already gone viral. Someone's leaking things deliberately." Christine feels her stomach twist. But why now? "He's in the hospital." The lawyer pauses. "That's the other thing. Kody was transferred last night. He's stable, but no one's telling where." Later in the day, Christine drives into town, sunglasses and pulled hood, an attempt to elude the cameras that already have her picture. The same recording plays at every store window. A newscaster's voice announces, "The scandalous tape leaves questions about what actually occurred within the Brown courtroom." Reporters flood the courthouse steps, asking questions. Inside, Christine greets her attorney, pacing. "There's more than one clip," he tells her bitterly. "Someone who's leaking this has hours of private testimony, raw." He displays another video on his tablet, an exchange where Christine bursts into tears on the stand during cross-examination, her voice shaking, and then something she never said is played over her tears. A digitally manipulated voice, sounding like hers, says, "I made everything up." Christine gasps, recoiling. "That's not real." Her lawyer nods. "It's AI manipulation. Someone's creating evidence." Christine's heart is pounding. But who would do that? He pauses. Someone who wants to redefine the narrative. Christine whispers, he plotted this. He knew how to maintain control even from the hospital bed. She gets another email that night, subject line. You don't get to decide what the world believes. There is another clip attached, this one with Cody's journal pages spread out on a table, voiceover reading them aloud. The handwriting is his, but the words are crueler and darker. One reads, I'll show them all who the real villain is. Christine feels sick. He's weaponizing his downfall, she murmurs. Robin calls again, her voice shaking. Christine, this isn't just about us anymore. The producers are getting subpoenas. They want to reopen the footage archives. Christine rubs her temples. That means everything comes back. Every argument, every secret. Robin sobs softly. He's still calling the shots. Christine bangs her hand onto the table. Not anymore. The following morning, Christine is willing to go on live television for the first time since the verdict. The studio is hushed, the lights harsh, the anchor soft but questioning. Christine, what do you want people to know about these new videos? Christine addresses the camera. That manipulation doesn't end when a person leaves. It simply rearranges. I've survived it silently, but I will not allow him to retell what occurred. Not once more. Her words tremble, yet they strike like fact. The clip circulates more quickly than Cody's. For the first time, the comments are not all polarized. They begin defending her, breaking down the doctored audio, revealing the edits. The tides shift. But that evening, as she is driving home, there are headlights in her rearview mirror. She turns down the forest road. The lights are behind her. Her hands tighten around the wheel. Not again, she mutters. She turns into her driveway, pounding heartbeat. The car behind slows down as well. A figure emerges, tall, wearing a black coat. Christine reaches for her phone. Then the form moves into the light. It's Robin. Christine gasps shakily. You frighten me. Robin is white as a sheet. Christine, someone broke into my home. Christine's blood freezes. Who? I don't know. They didn't steal anything. Just my old diaries. And photographs. Christine breathes softly. It's the same person releasing the tapes. Robin nods. Whoever it is, they're attempting to destroy us. Days turn into weeks. Detectives trace the leaks to a single email address, encrypted, untraceable. But one of them jumps out, sent to several news organizations. The Brown story isn't finished. Part 2 coming soon. Christine's chest constricts. Part 2. She repeats the words over and over in her head. Robin calls again, her voice empty. I think I know what he meant. Christine breathes softly, don't say it. Robin says it anyway. He filmed everything. He filmed everything. Before the trial. During it. After. He said it was for a documentary. You're saying there's more footage? Robin nods. Hours. Maybe days worth. And if he planned this, he might have left someone to release it for him. The idea hits like a wave. Cody's last move wasn't a confrontation, it was a production. Christine slams her fist on the table. He made his own downfall into material. That evening, she gets one final email, a link to a private lives stream called The Real Brown Truth. The timer has 12 hours left. Christine is queasy. He went about planning this, she grumbles. Not even death could get in his way. The morning after, the web breaks out as the stream begins. Millions watch. The video starts with old family home movies, laughter, family meals, children playing. Then it cuts to Kody sitting at a camera, face worn but resolute. Everyone believes they know the truth. But this is my confession. Christine sits immobile in front of her computer. The video is Kody reading from a document. They accused me of being controlling. Perhaps I was, but I only attempted to keep together what was already falling apart. And then he gazes directly into the camera. But the reality is, I wasn't lying alone. Christine's gut knots as the screen cuts to shots of her, compiled from years of footage, cut together to portray her as dishonest. She's ill, shaking her head. He's setting me up even in death. But something shifts. The screen flickers and then another video cuts in. Another voice comes on. It's Robin. She had recorded her own message and hacked into the stream. Her face appears on the screen, red eyes but unwavering. "No more lies," she says. "This man manipulated us all. He took love and turned it into control. We were all victims, even him. But Christine fought to save what was left. And that's the truth." The feed drops. Silence. The internet erupts in responses. The original video is lost, replaced by Robin's note. Christine sits back, crying tears down her cheeks. "You did it," she murmurs. A few minutes later, Robin calls. "It's done, Christine. The server's crashed. Everything's destroyed." Christine laughs feebly through her tears. "You saved it." Robin's voice shakes. "We saved each other." Months later, Christine walks into a courtroom again. Months later, Christine walks into a courtroom again, not for battle, but for closure. The judge officially closes the case, sealing all media rights and prohibiting further exploitation. As she walks out, cameras still flash, but she doesn't hide this time. She smiles. Reporters shout, "Christine, any message for viewers?" She pauses, then says softly, "Don't believe every story you're told. Believe the one you live." The crowd goes quiet. Later, at home, she sits on her porch while the snow melts away with spring. Truly does a run through the yard, laughter ringing out. Robin comes over, lugging coffee, her face worn but lighter. "Do you ever think about him?" she asks. Christine nods slowly. "Sometimes, but not like before. Now I consider what he taught me, about power and love, and what occurs when you mix them up." They sit in silence, the sun warm upon their faces. Christine whispers, "We made it out." Robin smiles weakly. "Barely. But yes, we did." Christine glances out over the mountains, taking a deep breath. The chapter is closing. Not tidily, not perfectly, but honestly. That's enough. At sundown, she goes inside and inserts the last piece of paper into her journal, a letter to herself penned years prior when she first considered breaking away from Kody. It says, "You deserve peace, not permission." She laughs through tears. "I finally do," she whispers. But just as life's camera appears to dim, her phone vibrates once more, an unknown number. "There's one more tape you haven't seen." Christine looks at it, wind outside picking up once more. She mutters to herself, "Then I'll face it." Because after all these years, fear no longer dictates her tale. She does. As the seventh day of the trial began, the courthouse was heavier than it had ever been before, as if the walls themselves weighed down under the secrets they'd witnessed. Christine appeared first, her outfit somber blue, her eyes keen yet fatigued, her voice calmer than it had been for days. Kody came later, his face inscrutable but his jaw clenched, like a man ready to be cornered. Robin followed after him, holding her little notebook, her face creased with worry as whispers dominated the air. Janelle came in quietly and shunned everyone's eyes. It was evident something had changed within her since yesterday's heart-wrenching testimony. The reporters were already seated in the back rows, shattering assumptions about the secret accounts and Kody's potential perjury allegations. The tension in the room was palpable but chilly, like the silence preceding a storm that no one could escape. When the judge walked in, all chatter ceased. He cleared his throat and stated today they'd be going over fresh evidence discovered overnight. An in-case letter from the lawyer for Kody, reportedly written months prior to the trial's commencement. The courtroom came to a standstill while the clerk opened the envelope and read out loud. Within was a blow-by-blow description of Kody's preemptive strategy to transfer his assets into a family trust, one that had only Robin and him as beneficiaries. Christine's jaw dropped open, Janelle's eyes grew wide with incredulity, and even Meri audibly gasped. Kody's face paled, knowing that his so well-concealed plan was now on record. Robin clutched at his hand, saying something, but he pulled away from her, grumbling beneath his breath, "They were never supposed to find that." The tension crackled like an electric current. Christine's attorney stood up at once, his voice calm but charged with pent-up anger, stating this document not only revealed dishonesty but explicitly undermined Kody's previous testimony regarding joint property. Janelle spoke to Christine, her voice barely above a whisper. He staged it all, even before the split. Christine nodded, her face a combination of heartache and vindication. The judge called for silence, but feelings were already spinning out of control. The defense struggled to regain footing. Robin asked for a quick recess to collect herself, insisting she hadn't been aware of the document, but the judge refused, saying the trial had already been over long. The judge then inquired directly from Kody if he accepted the validity of the trust document. Kody paused, beads of sweat appearing on his forehead, then mumbled, "Yes, but it's not what it seems." His voice trembled slightly, but Christine's attorney drove home hard, inquiring whether he had used those funds to influence custody cases. Kody refused, but his stutter undermined him. Christine gazed at him from across the courtroom, her voice cracking when she spoke. "You always told me family came first. Was this what you meant?" The ensuing silence was merciless. Robin sobbed quietly, her mascara running as she whispered, "He did it for us, Christine. He was protecting us." Christine's expression hardened. "No, Robin. He did it for himself." The judge groaned with a sigh, rubbing his temples and calling for a brief recess. Outside the courtroom, reporters gathered in a flashbulb-covered crowd, cameras popping as Christine and Janelle walked into the hallway. Their lawyers attempted to hide them, but Christine spoke directly into a microphone. This was never just about custody. It's about honesty, about what happens when one person manipulates faith and love into control. Her words became viral in an instant. Even before the afternoon session, hashtags and arguments spread on the internet like wildfire. Kody and Robin sat side by side in strained silence inside. Robin muttered, "They're turning everybody against us." Kody balled up his fists. "They always have. I built this family. I made them who they are. And now they're destroying me." His rage and desperation shook in his voice, but he knew deep down this was his fault. When court reconvened, the judge permitted Janelle to step back up on the witness stand. She spoke calmly but firmly of how Kody had forced her to sign financial papers she never read through thoroughly. She conceded she had trusted him, that she'd been blinded by years of joint religion and loyalty to family. The courtroom was hushed when she added, "I used to think he was led by God. Now I think he wanted to be God. Now I think he wanted to be God." That statement chilled everyone. Even Kody winced, as if the words pierced the final vestige of his defenses. The judge slanted forward and inquired of Kody whether he wished to speak. He rose up slowly, his red face, his voice shaking with rage and humiliation. "You believe I wanted this? You believe that I wanted to stand here as the women I devoted everything to destroy me? I did my best to hold us together. You left me with no option." His tirade rang through the courtroom. "No one left him," Christine's attorney answered calmly. "You simply couldn't handle that they finally saw you for what you were." The courtroom exploded in whispers, the judge banging his gavel to regain order. Robin wept into her hands, the tears sincere yet perplexing, guilt or fear. Nobody could say. Christine glared at her ex-husband, tears shining in her eyes, but her voice was firm when she spoke, saying, "We were never against you, Kody. We were just finished pretending." The silence that followed was chilling. Even the judge looked shaken by the emotional severity of the moment. As the day came to a close, the judge announced that the court would reconvene tomorrow for closing arguments, but he warned that the evidence revealed today might lead to criminal investigations. Kody's face drained of color. Even his attorney whispered urgently, "We'll need to prepare for that possibility." Robin looked at him, whispering, "We can fix this, right?" But Kody didn't answer. Instead, he just stared forward, his eyes vacant, as though he'd finally realized the empire he'd built, of loyalty, faith, and control, was crumbling faster than he could grasp it. Outside, Christine hugged Janelle tightly. "We're almost free," she whispered. But her eyes still carried sorrow, because freedom had come at a price none of them had truly expected. And as the imagination camera pans back, the courthouse lights are fading, journalists yelling, and Kody alone in the window, looking out on Christine and Janelle disappearing together, strong, together, and not afraid anymore. His Image in the window glass appeared empty, shattered, a man tormented not by what was done to him, but by what he'd done to others. And just as it seemed the tale was almost over, Cody's phone vibrated in his pocket. He looked at the screen, an unfamiliar number, but the words on the screen sent a shiver down his back. "We need to talk. It's about the trust." The color drained from his face as the picture dissolved to black. The last day of the trial dawned under a heavy, gray sky, the sort of weather that pressed down on all who entered the courthouse. Reporters stood in a shoulder-to-shoulder line, cameras flashing when Christine, Janelle, and Meri arrived together, a united front that exuded quiet strength. Within, the gallery was filled to capacity, the hum of expectation electric. All of them knew today would determine not only custody, but the future of the whole Brown family history. Kody walked in last, his suit spotless, but his eyes empty. The normal fire in him dwindled to a flame of fatigue and remorse. Robin brought up the rear, her face white, her pace uncertain, as if already knowing what lay ahead. The judge entered right away, depositing a fat folder that appeared to be heavier than any of them could possibly carry. This court will now hear closing arguments prior to making a ruling. He intoned, his voice measured and low. Christine's attorney moved first, striding deliberately before the jury box. "This isn't about revenge," he started. "This is about years of silence, manipulation, and shattered trust. It's about women who trusted a man's vow and paid a price when that vow became control." The words hit like lightning. Christine lowered her eyes, tears shining on her eyelashes, and Janelle reached over to clasp her hand. Meri, normally the reserved one, sat stiff, her mouth clamped tightly shut. The attorney went on, producing the final proof of evidence, a string of bank transfers done just 2 weeks prior to the onset of the trial, linked back to an offshore account in the name of Kody. The room was shocked. Cody's attorney protested at once, saying that the evidence was circumstantial, but the judge ruled over him. Transaction records displayed on the screen. Cody's jaw clenched. "It is not mine," he said, his throat rough. Christine's attorney retorted, "So, let me get this straight. Someone else just happened to open an account in your name, with the very same amount of money missing from your family trust." The room was silent. Robin got weepy, whispering, "I didn't know. I swear I didn't. I swear I didn't." But Christine did not glance at her. Her eyes remained fixed on Kody, steady and unwavering. Closing statements were requested by the judge. Cody's attorney stood up, attempting to spin the story. "My client is not a villain," he declared. "He's a man who attempted to keep together an impossible family situation in the public eye. Errors were committed, yes, but this is no fraud, this is desperation." But as Kody observed the wives he used to lead huddled together, whispering among themselves, embracing each other, he knew in his heart that no complaint could rewrite the truth anymore. When Christine's attorney delivered his last word, his voice mellowed. These women invested their faith, their years, and their hearts in a man who utilized all three of them as weapons. They stood today not victims, but survivors. The judge took a slow breath and leaned back in his chair. "The court will adjourn for 30 minutes before the verdict is read." The anticipation was more than anyone could bear. Outside, the sky broke open, rain pounding on the windows as if nature itself participated in washing away the filth this family had turned into. In the corridor, Christine rested against the wall, eyes shut, muttering a prayer not for victory but for peace. Janelle confronted her. "No matter what, we did it. We told the truth." Christine nodded. "That's all that counts anymore." Robin, seated a few feet away on a bench, gazed at her trembling hands. Kody stood at the courthouse window, observing the rain. "It was supposed to be us," he whispered. Robin raised her eyes, her voice shaking. "It was never us, Kody. It was always you." Her words hung suspended, more burdensome than any sentence could be. When they returned to the courtroom, the judge sat down and started reading. His voice was firm, measured, but every word hit like a hammer. He found Kody guilty of perjury and mandated a complete audit of all family holdings. Custody of the other children was granted to Christine, joint visitation for Janelle. Robin, not legally involved, was commanded to cooperate in restitution of money. The courtroom exploded, some gasped, others cried. Kody collapsed into his seat, color drained from his face. Christine gasped shakily, sobs running down her face. For the first time in years, she was free, not because she'd emerged victorious, but because she no longer lived in terror of losing. Janelle embraced her, whispering, "It's over." Christine shook her head. No undefined, it's just beginning. After the court recessed, reporters swarmed the wives. Undefined Christine made a brief statement. This isn't about revenge or money. Undefined, it's about truth. Undefined, about knowing when to walk away and when to stand your ground. Her voice was steady, earthy. Meanwhile, Kody and Robin slipped out the back, avoiding cameras. Undefined. In the parking lot, Kody stood in the rain, staring at the courthouse steps. Undefined. They turned everyone against me. He muttered. Undefined. Robin's voice cracked. Undefined. You did that yourself. He turned to her, eyes red with frustration. Undefined. You think you're any different. You played your part. Robin stepped back, whispering, "At least I can admit it." And with that, she walked away, leaving him alone under the downpour. Undefined. The camera of imagination zooms in, rain dripping from his hair, his hands clenched into fists, his reflection on a puddle fractured and broken. A man who had it all once, wives, religion, dominion, now had nothing but the sound of his own decisions. Data type. The three women hugged goodbye within the courthouse. Christine, Janelle, and Meri walked out together, their faces illuminated by the flash of camera lights, not as objects of scandal, but as figures of resilience. Christine smiled gently and said, "We rode out the storm." The scene dissolves to the steps of the courthouse, where a small group starts to applaud. A soft, symbolic moment of closure. Undefined. Her face tenses, eyes opening wide. Undefined. She holds it out to Janelle, whose mouth drops open in shock. Undefined. They lock gazes, a combination of fear and resolve. Christine whispers, "Then we're not done yet." The screen of imagination fades to black again, leaving the audience in stunned silence. Undefined. The narration softens to a reflective tone. In every story of love and loss, there's a moment where truth cuts deeper than betrayal. Undefined. But sometimes, even truth has layers, and some secrets refuse to stay buried.